Women are not little men. Let's talk about it. Walker and I are having a snow day with our son Tristan, and we have time to sit down and have a little rambling discussion about the difference between men and women, what their bodies need, what training looks like, what nutrition looks like, because so many have the best intentions, husbands, wives, friends, to help each other. But the truth is, women are so different from men. So in this video, we're going to go over those differences, and we're going to spend this beautiful snow day warming up and adding some value to your life, hopefully. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's do it. By the way, if you get value from this, make sure you like and subscribe so that way when new videos come out, you'll be notified. Plus, it helps grow the channel, and I want to give more and more value out here. So if you get value, make sure you like it, share it with a friend. This is the first time I think I've had you on here, right?
I think it is, yeah.
So this is going to be good because a lot of times we run into couples where the man's maybe been training for a long time and the woman's just coming on board. And with all the best intentions, the guy tries to help the woman, like the husband tries to help the wife. And we see it time and time again where women are not little men.
That's right.
So I've fallen into that too, where like you helped me from the beginning, helped a lot. And we were both already into bodybuilding, but I feel like kind of going my own route, getting my own coach, I learned so much more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I want is if you guys have questions as we go along, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll answer them later, or maybe we'll make a whole separate video on them. But we've got 4 topics here that we came up with together, and let's just start from the top.
All right.
The cycles, the hormone cycles that men and women go through.
Yes.
So, so men have a 24-hour cycle. Women have more of a 24 to 30 day cycle where our hormones rage. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I didn't realize I had a cycle
You do.
until just now.
You don't get a period,
No.
but you have a cycle.
If I did, you're saying I would get a period every day.
Yes. Yeah. Can you imagine? So, a lot of times these dips in energy that women go through, men don't understand, and vice versa. Is that how you say it? Vice versa?
Vice versa.
Vice versa.
Sure.
So a lot of times women will come to me and they'll be like, I feel lazy, or I feel like I have no energy, my numbers aren't going up. And what we realize is that it's a lot of times the cycle. So women have like a week every month typically where their energy is super low. For some, it's the week before their period, their menstrual cycle. For some, it's during that. And for a lot of them, it's actually right after that. So it's interesting. It's kind of like a case by case, basis. And I'm not trying to sound like a doctor, but it's just what I've seen with clients. And I feel like with men, y'all don't have that, right? Like you don't have a whole week out of the month that you feel that way.
No, for sure. It's, barring any outside stuff like stress or specific things like that. No, it's pretty much the same day in, day out, as long as I'm sleeping the same and eating the same and training the same. Yeah.
And so you guys are doing well on like a schedule, like a day-to-day schedule. Like you probably know when your energy dips versus when you have good energy day to day, if you stay on the same schedule.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's another thing. So with women, we can stay on the exact same schedule every day for a month, and we'll have days where we are exhausted, and we'll have days where we feel great. We have so much energy. And that goes back to the cycle. So men and women have different cycles. So what I always recommend my female clients is learn your body. And if you have a week that may be leading up to your training, you have a surge of energy, use it. Like beat your numbers, log your numbers. We use progressive overload. And then when that week hits you and you feel like you're going to just die, like you're so tired, give yourself a deload, like lighten the load. You can use this to your advantage. So that's just one way where guys are different than girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And as a guy, not having that on a monthly basis, I still kind of do that if I have, like if I have a stressful week or if we're traveling or something.
Mm-hmm.
If I've been training, really consistently for weeks and weeks and weeks, I'll realize, okay, this is probably, it makes sense for me to take a break this week or take it easy or, not go to
Yeah.
the gym as much.
Yeah. Good
And so I
point.
kind of let my life determine my deloads, because if I just
Mm,
automatically did it on a set schedule, it might come up this week. I might have taken a deload, and the next week we're going out of town, and I would have ended up having 2 weeks of not training hard, and that wouldn't be good. So,
right,
yeah.
right. That's a good point. So it can really help you plan. Just knowing your body, knowing the difference between, again, females, males, how we operate. And again, I don't feel like men or women have ill intentions trying to help the other one out, but it's just when you don't know what's going on in the other one's body, you can only do so much. So the other thing, kind of along the same lines of hormones, fat, fat intake. I'll let you take off on this one to start.
Fat
The
intake.
the fat
Yeah.
you eat,
Okay, not the fat that's on my body.
right?
Okay, the fat I eat. Well, I mean, I know fat's very important for both genders.
Hmm.
I know that if we, with because it affects hormones, so you need the fat for your body to produce hormones optimally, to produce testosterone. Uh, think of the word cholesterol, sterol, steroid. That's like a building block
Ooh,
of testosterone. So we need those
I
things.
like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't think to throw that in there.
It just came to me.
So it's essential. So fat is essential.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed is men. Let's talk about show prep because we're both
Okay.
familiar with show prep. So when you have a man and a woman going into show prep, and regardless if you're competing or not, say you're going into a cut where you're trying to cut down on fat, lose body fat, men can get away for longer with not having fat in their diet, or at least having minimal fat.
Yeah.
For a woman, because we've got estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and I'm not trying to act like I'm a doctor here, but we just have more hormones that make it more complex, and the fluctuations that we experience. And so, if we were to pull out all of our fats, we get into this detrimental place with our hormones where you'll start to notice, if you've ever tried this before as a woman, you feel like shit. Like you literally feel like you want to die. You might feel like you have no energy, you feel super moody, and your body stops responding. But with a man, I'm not saying that y'all shouldn't have fat or it's good for you to go without fat, but from what I've seen, you get away with it a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a caveat to, if somebody's using exogenous testosterone like TRT or something like that, you can afford to go a lot lower on fat, because you don't need that dietary fat for your body to produce the testosterone if you're taking it. If you're taking it like from a doctor,
Mm,
so
okay.
that's another big thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, what would you say, like for you specifically with fat? Have you noticed a difference when you're low fat versus high fat in your diet, or have you tried?
Yeah, I mean, with both times I've prepped for shows, my fat intake was very minimal. It was like 15 to 20 grams a day.
That's so low for a
Yeah,
guy.
it was solo, but I was using exogenous testosterone, so I was able to get away with that. I would have crashed and burned very quickly on that if I was doing like a natural show.
Gotcha.
Um,
Mm,
but yeah, like, and then as far as like non-show type stuff, just like day-to-day living, whether I'm trying to get, well, I know for me, as tall as I am, when I'm trying to grow, I've tried growing on minimal fat like that before. Like after a show, I've tried keeping my fat very low and
hmm.
just increasing protein and carbs. And it's really just not doable for me. I'll end up staying really lean, and I won't be able to put on any muscle. It'll be hard for me to maintain my size. So I've
I
started,
gotcha.
I add fat and carbs when I'm trying to grow.
Mm,
That's just for me. Somebody, that might not be for everybody.
yeah. But I like the point of you saying that you notice you need to add more in there because I think people associate fat with fat on their bodies.
Yeah.
And fats are denser when you eat them. You're getting 9 grams or 9 calories per gram versus 4, like you would carbs or protein, but it's so essential. And I think people get scared of it. Like they're like, oh, I shouldn't have fat. Keto did kind of help with that, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but still, it's so essential. And on that note, women, I was going to talk about why women tend to store fat when men don't. And it's an evolutionary thing. So, way back in caveman days, women's bodies were more apt to hold on to fat. Like if they were starving, like they barely had any food, because we kept the babies alive. We would
Right.
have the babies, we would feed the babies. And so if you think about an evolution perspective, it makes more sense that women store fat.
Yeah.
So that's something like I didn't think about that till, I learned it. And the more we try to take food out of our diets and we try to starve ourselves, the more our body fights back. So, for those of you listening, if you've ever had an experience as a woman where maybe you've taken a lot of food out and you realize your body is actually adding fat or adding water, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you because this happens more often than not. And he can tell you that time and time again, people will sign up for coaching and their body's in starvation mode. They're actually carrying more fat than they need to carry, and they're not eating hardly anything. And that's a tough place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's shocking. And it's literally almost, I guess, every single person I know of that you've told me about, new client or people that I've coached as well in the past. Not nearly as many people as you, but even the small group I've had. Uh, yeah. Every person that comes in overweight wanting to lose fat, when I have them show me what they eat on a typical day, it's like 1,000 calories.
Yeah. Oh,
And
gosh.
they don't understand it. They don't know why they're not losing weight. They're just getting fatter.
Yeah.
And so we have to start feeding them. And then as soon as their body adapts to the food, gets used to it, knows it's coming, their body starts shedding fat.
That's something that I feel like I've never actually told you I appreciate about you is that you've never told me to eat like less than I should eat. Not that you're usually telling me what to eat, but it's always the opposite. Like you're always wanting me to eat more.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like male coaches, not all of them, hear me say not all of them, because a lot of male coaches know what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but they treat women like they don't need to eat that much.
Yeah. Yeah. We've known a lot of people and seen it over and over again where women are just getting starved to death by a prep coach, like right out of
Yes,
the gate.
right out of the gate. And then they'll come over to us and they'll be like, can you help me with this show? And they're eating like 200 calories.
And it's
I'm
all from
being
protein.
Yes, no carbs, no
Yeah.
fats. And at that point, you're in starvation mode. Like your body, you can't lose more or you're just going to die.
Right. And it's the principle I always go back to. It's like you can't, when you're trying to lose fat, you don't want to, when you make the decision, it's day one, I'm going to start a weight loss diet. So the common thing for people to jump to is, all right, let me do everything I've ever heard of
Mm,
right now. I'm going to go in hardcore. I'm not playing around this time. So I'm going to do an hour of cardio. I'm going to lift. I'm going to cut carbs. I'm going to cut fat. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to take fat burners, like you name it. They do all of it right out of the gate. And then they stall out. And
hmm.
so what I'm always telling people is, find let's find the minimum we can do to start making progress. And then we have tools left in our toolbox. So once we hit a plateau, we can use one of our tools to keep the weight loss coming.
Yeah,
And then you add another tool, and you lose more, you stall out, and
right.
pull, trim the carbs back just a little bit, or, add in
Yeah,
some cardio.
it is
Yeah.
true. A lot of people try to tackle it from all angles. I love that.
Yeah.
Leaving a little tool in the toolbox is a good thing. What about cardio? Speak,
What about it?
I'm gonna speak from a woman's perspective, but let's talk about the difference between men and women and hormones with cardio.
Hmm.
So do you want me to go first or you want to go?
Probably you should go first. I just shoveled the driveway, and that's the most cardio I've done in probably the last 4 years.
Yeah, you are a little
Yeah.
sweaty on the upper lip, man.
Mm-hmm.
Cardio. And so I'm not a huge cardio fan, but it has its place. You want to have cardiovascular health, but the way I see it is I want to be able to finish my set training without being winded. Like I want to be able to fully finish my set and the fact that my heart rate is way too high not be the thing that stops me.
Yeah, you want the muscle to be the thing that gives out, not your ability to breathe. Yeah.
Yes. And when we were 21, doing a bunch of cardio would actually help. I mean, I don't know about you. I'll speak for myself. Doing cardio helped when I was like around the age of 18 to 22. I would lose fat. I could hold on to muscle, even though I didn't know what I was doing back then. But once you get to a certain age and your hormones begin to fluctuate and change, cardio is not your best option. And that's another thing, talking about the tools in the toolbox, that I think people are still kind of stuck in the dark ages on, is that
Mm.
cardio is the answer for fat loss.
That's the first thing people go to
Yeah.
when it really should be, for me anyway, it's toward the end. You know,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
going to do
you
it with diet.
yeah,
Yeah.
share hard. Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. I
Diet
mean,
and
that's where I'm going to start. It's going to be diet. I'm going to have my weight training dialed in, my sleep dialed in, and I'm going to milk that for as much as I can. And
yeah,
then, if I still need to drop body fat, I'll throw some carbs or some cardio
perfect.
in. Yep.
And I feel the exact same way. And show prepping people, which I don't do full time anymore, but I really try to save that for a trick in the bag, kind of like the icing on the cake. Like if we're almost there and we just need to tighten up just a little bit more, if you haven't done cardio your whole prep and all of a sudden you do 10 minutes of cardio, that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's another place though that I see women like really mess up because they're doing an hour of cardio a day. So not good on your hormones.
And here's what that really gets them into trouble is they've done that hard cardio and they feel like they've really done something, and it allows them to maybe overindulge on the food. But
Mm,
what's really happening is like that cardio, you're only burning a few hundred calories.
right.
And so if you go eat just a little more, feeling like you earned it, you've just undone the cardio part that you just did.
That's what I was going to say because I feel like we keep like beating up people that make all the wrong decisions. But truly, the answer, we'll get in the solution. The answer would be weight training, resistance training, adding lean muscle. The more lean muscle we carry on our bodies, the faster our metabolism
Yep.
is. So for men and women, and I will say that's the same for men and women, is weight training is the answer.
Yeah.
But I do think with cardio, I think we overuse it on both sides, men and women.
Oh yeah. Across the board. Yeah.
Mm. There is nothing worse too than having a woman that comes to sign up and she's already doing 45 minutes of cardio and trying to lose weight. I'm like, whew. And sometimes just cutting out the cardio tightens her up
Really.
because that stress on her body.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this happen where I increased cardio for actually a younger woman. She was in her 20s and she actually put a pound on that week because I think it bumped her stress up. Her
Mm-hmm.
cortisol went up a little bit.
Yep.
Um, so, and that's sort of what we're going to talk about is just estrogen, testosterone fluctuations as you get older. So, for women, estrogen tends to continue to increase and testosterone continues to drop. I used to think testosterone was just a male hormone. Like, I didn't think that it even mattered that women had it in them until I had my own experience and working with women. So, I looked fine, I was adding muscle fine, and I felt like I was going to fall asleep during my workouts. I would get a full night's sleep. I was doing everything right, but then I got my hormones tested and I had like a 9 testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
So,
shocking.
yeah.
We did not expect that. Because I mean, the rate that you were putting on muscle and the way you carry your body fat, like you don't carry a lot of fat in your hips, which is
Yeah.
generally like a female, like estrogen dominant thing. You don't carry your fat that way, and you're putting on muscle. Like you've obviously been a person, you're, a pro bodybuilder, so you put on muscle easily. So yeah, when we got that test result back,
Yeah.
it was shocking. It was
And I'm
very shocking.
so level-headed and calm and like just balanced
Yeah.
in other ways. But but I will say it's not always obvious when your hormones are out of whack. So I would say if your nutrition's dialed in, your training's dialed in, and you're sleeping great, but you just can't get past some sort of plateau, get your hormones checked.
Yeah.
And for dudes, let's talk about dudes because yeah, I'll let you talk about dudes with testosterone as you get
Yeah.
older.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like if you're carrying fat in your hips, that you might need higher testosterone. If you're feeling depressed, tired all the time, um, overly emotional or lacking drive, get it checked. I mean, I've talked to so many people over the last 10 or so years. That's about how long I've been like really training hard and focused on it. And so many guys going through that having those symptoms and taking antidepressants and things like that.
Mm,
And I'm like, hey, you should get your test levels checked. And like everyone who has checked, and some of these people are in their early 30s,
right.
um, all came back with pretty low to super low testosterone. and it's such an easy fix in today's society, the environment we're in, the food we eat. It just seems like everybody's testosterone is getting lower earlier in life than it used to.
Yeah. And it seems like some men have a hard time, like they think it's a shortcut, or they think that, I don't know if it's a pride thing, like, no, I don't need testosterone injections or whatever.
Hmm.
Do you see that a little bit?
Yeah, I see that some. Yeah,
And I just think like you don't have to take the hard route.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the research is proving it to be healthier in a lot of people than having low T. Having on the higher end of the spectrum with your T is actually healthier and correlates with longer life. So,
And the
and less heart
antidepressants,
problems.
less heart problems. And when you said
And
antidepressants, that jumped out to me because I've known women who have gotten off their antidepressants once they started hormone replacement therapy because it was a hormone imbalance. I do think we're on the rise in understanding and just it becoming more of a norm in society. But I think
yeah,
for the longest time, doctors would kind of like that, they didn't want to promote that. That's a whole other tangent. I won't get
yeah,
on it. But by the way, if you guys, as we're talking, if you have questions or you have anything to contribute, please leave it in the comments below. The last thing we were going to talk about is training. And I really want to focus too on the difference between men and women and just remembering that I'm not a little man, I'm a woman. And so my body is completely different. With training, I noticed that because women's hips tend to be a little bit wider on their for their frame than men, there are certain movements like squats where things are not comfortable for women that might be comfortable for men. So the example that comes to mind are, I remember goblet squats, and I've worked with a lot of women on these heels elevated goblet squats. You got the dumbbell in front of you. I can do it with my feet and my toes together, and my knees feel great. But a lot of women, that's a lot of strain on their knees because if you look at the anatomy, if your hips are here and your knees are here, then it would be better for you to separate those feet and have everything in line. Whereas a man, generally speaking, not always, is more straight up and down.
mhm.
So that's another thing where sometimes I've noticed when men coach women and they don't understand that difference, they'll push them and they won't understand that they might actually be in pain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Which, yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
I think it's easier for us because I kind of have like more of the straight up and down hips. But
Hmm.
I noticed really working with women that there were certain movements that they just weren't comfortable in. And it opened my eyes too, because, I'd only worked with myself until I started coaching. But I think just all anatomies, period, regardless if you're a man or a woman, but body sizes, bone structure, finding what works for you and not assuming that because you're doing something, your partner should be doing the same thing is huge.
Yeah, yeah. I think everybody should look at their physique like, I don't know, with their own lens. Like, what do I need to bring up? What doesn't need to come up for me to look how I want to look? Like every pound of
Mm,
muscle isn't equal. Like if I want to, like most guys want to look broader in the shoulders, probably women too. It gives you a nice shape. So like if I can add some size to my lateral delts, the, even a quarter of a pound added to my frame right here is going to make a huge difference in how I look
mm,
versus that same amount on my back. It might not be noticeable.
right.
So it gets to a point where, there's basics and basic training and stuff where, you're going to do your main movements. And if you're new, you probably don't worry about this type of stuff. You just train, make sure you're hitting every body part
Yeah.
and move on. But once you get to the point where we are, like, I'm not going to go put on 20 pounds this year. It just isn't happening. I'm probably going to stay the same weight from this year to next year. Maybe I gain a pound of muscle. I'd be lucky if I did, but you can move the muscle you got around a little bit, and you can
Mm,
do that by where you put your focus on your training. So that's kind of where I am now. Now that I'm not trying to continue growing, I'm just trying to do things to look incrementally better.
maintain and yeah.
Yeah, maintain what I got and maybe refine something here
The sculpting process is something that jumps out to me too because for example, you might want to have powerful traps whereas for a lot of women that's not as desirable to
and
sit here and
there.
have like muscles halfway up my neck. Maybe you want it and that's badass if you do. But that um, when I first started, I was doing, I guess you call it like a bro split. Is that what they call, or what do they
Mm.
call it when it's like you hit upper body like 3 days a week and legs like once? I guess I can't call it a bro split. That's kind of an
Yeah, well,
insult.
I mean, the bro split's like one body part a day, pretty much,
So
and
it
you're
wouldn't be
training every
that,
day.
but it would. When I first started, I worked
It's like
out
the
with
knu-
all
the
men,
knucklehead.
the knucklehead bro
Yeah,
split, where you neglect legs. And I was working legs once a week, and then I would do like upper body, like chest day, shoulder day, arm day, like back day. So my
yeah,
upper body was getting bigger and bigger,
yeah.
and it does feel good. But then I realized like that's not for my body type. Like I get big up top pretty easily, but my legs are like pencils if I don't work on growing them.
Same here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I do. I think the sculpting process is so important.
yeah, yeah. You got to constantly keep an eye on what you're doing and think about, what do I want to bring up, and based on what you want to bring up, you put it earlier in the workout. Like if
Mm,
I got a muscle group that I want to catch up, and I'm training multiple muscle groups in a session, rule of thumb is, whatever muscle's lagging, I might want to put that first, or I might give it an extra set, or it might even, if it's not a huge imbalance, I might just, I don't know, focus a little more on it.
yeah,
And all that can make a difference.
yeah, that pre-exhausting before hitting your compounds. That made a big difference for me. Like,
Yeah, I've loved that, and especially as I get older too. Keeps my joints relatively healthy because I mean,
mm,
shoot, they don't even feel that good right now anyway. So I can't
aw,
imagine if I was if I was starting out with compounds on my legs, I'd be crippled probably. But yeah, I've been doing that for years. Is doing a lot of my isolation work, especially on legs. I'll do my isolation work first, so I don't have to use as much weight on the compounds, and I
yeah,
can still you know fatigue the muscle. And
that's something that, and we'll wrap it up here. But the women who sign up with me, they really start to appreciate is that we're not just growing muscle overall, or we're not just like burning fat overall. Like we'll look at their physique and I'll say, okay, like your shoulders are underdeveloped, and I'll ask, do you want like an X shape? Do you want to have like a small upper body and have more of a dominant lower body?
maybe
It's
you
like
want a
an
pear
art.
shape.
Maybe you do want a pear shape, and I haven't had somebody specifically ask for that yet, but maybe it's just saying pear shape scares them. But there definitely is a sculpting art to it that I think both of us appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I really enjoy that about it.
It's like an art.
It makes it a lot more fun than if I was just doing the big three and just that's not my thing. Some people love that, but for me, I enjoy trying to shape myself.
Yeah. Well, I'll say as we close, don't forget to like and subscribe if you got value from this. And I'm just going to close with maybe my final word of encouragement for couples or men versus women. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to? Do you want a minute to prepare?
Yes, please.
I'm
Yeah.
totally throwing this in here. For me, I would say it's awesome to work together, and you are more successful when your partner wants you to succeed. It's really hard when you have one person that's on one page and the other on another. So I think it's awesome when couples are both trying to power up together and level up together. And in saying that, I would say don't assume that the person should be doing what you're doing to make progress. And especially men, if your woman starts to say that something hurts her or she's really tired, don't tell her it's bullshit because you might just not understand.
Yeah, it's always a tightrope walk, as far as trying to give your partner advice,
Hmm.
right? Like, uh, and you definitely don't want to be that guy that's like nagging your wife about what she's eating and how she's training. You got to be tactful about it, and you got to remember that her body is not the same as your body, which is the whole point of this video. Is
Yeah.
that her body's going to respond differently and probably needs something different. So you might have some helpful advice, but just remember that she doesn't need to be doing exactly what you're doing because there's no one program that's going to be the thing for everybody.
Amen. So if you have any questions or comments about this, leave them below. I coach women. Walker coaches a few men. He doesn't do it as full time as I do, but he does do it. So we'd love to hear from you. We're both on social media. And until we see you again, stay powerful. Should we do a bicep flex on the way out? I got this huge shirt.